I was sat here, barbecue sauce on, no. I was sat here with my tarot cards. I did a tarot reading a couple of hours ago, and I finished college. Let's just start there. I don't know why I'm filming this video. I'm probably doing it for myself, but if I end up posting it, so I think I need to unlearn pain a bit. And I know this sounds very weird, but I feel like ever since I know myself, the one thing that's felt safe to feel is sadness and pain, whatever. Most of my writings come from a place of veiled frustration and anger and longing and fear and hurt, and it's never a light place. And you know, writing for me in a way has been therapy, which I clearly didn't go to. But the thing is, you can only hurt so much. And I think, unfortunately or fortunately, very much probably yes, anyways, I've reached my threshold of nostalgia and mourning, and because I feel like I cannot stand myself as I am anymore. And while I love my writing, I feel like taking off this skin that I've built for 22 years that's been protecting me in all of this. But that means changing the place from which I look at things. And that is completely new and completely scary, and it makes me question, because I've written pretty much everything that I've ever written. And for context, I didn't write as much as I do before I started this journey, which I only thought was going to be a journey for writing, but it's become a journey of putting myself out there on the internet and doing so in a very, very chaotic way, and not in a way that necessarily feels like I'm calculating my moves or anything like that. It's been a journey of so many personal traumas and insecurities and pains and whatever human things happening that happen to every single person. And I didn't know that when I started. I did not exactly sign up for that. But the scary part is that on every single journey, at some point, after learning, after understanding, after writing, after grieving, after processing everything that you do through writing, which I do almost every single day, there's only so much pain I can express. There's only so much anger I can transform into tears and then put on paper, until I feel like I can't do that anymore. And I start to feel shitty about myself, because sure, I'm doing all of these things even as obviously 20s are happening and it feels like the world is crumbling around you, which honestly it is. On a very serious note, I'm very lucky to be here and be talking about my mental health while other people are starving and there's wars happening and disasters are going on. But regardless, I lost my point. Yeah. And I go back a lot to a conversation that I had with somebody that I'm not in contact with anymore from a couple of months ago that, also writes for a hobby, and they kind of mentioned that they had to choose between being mentally a sane person, a mentally healthy person, and writing well. And I think in some way I've agreed with that for 22 years on a superficial level, until I realized when it came out of somebody else's mouth that I was disappointed at the notion of we can only write through the lens of things we don't have, of things that pain us. But it's true, because many of us use writing as a coping thing. You exercise the muscle that you feel comfortable in. And for me, and probably for a lot of people, indifferent of whether they're a writer or they're a painter or whatever, it's pain continuously. And I realize how afraid I am to let go of sadness in my work. And I'm scared still. It's not like I feel confident in any kind of way that my writing is good or anything like that. Don't think that for a second. I'm not confident in the stuff that I post. I'm not confident in myself. I'm not confident in anything. I just do it. And maybe in that lies some degree of confidence, but in the moment, I never am. And so I guess I'm just sitting here as a reminder to myself, but if I do end up wanting to do something with this, to anybody else, that it kind of sucks if you only write from that. And maybe I've just had the most basic epiphany ever, probably, definitely, most likely, yes, that everybody has been saying for the past 5, 10, whatever years, but I'm having it, so I'm having a moment, because I'm actually digesting it. And I feel like there were so many seeds of mental wellness planted that I still haven't accepted, because nothing's really pressed me to do so until now, because I am very dissatisfied with the fact that I keep putting myself and creating scenarios for myself that put me in some kind of mental pain. And while that maybe to some degree helps with the writing, it just destabilizes me completely. And so I'll write one thing and then I'll spiral for the rest of however many days until I can get inspiration again. And that's just not doable. And I don't really know what the point of me talking all of this stuff is. But regardless, I don't think there needs to be a point to everything. It's not like my channel or my media presence is by any means as calculated as it could be. I know it could be. I know I could do better. But I don't think I want that enough, clearly. But I do want to start writing from a different place, and I think I ought to actually make myself proud, because there's only so much you can acknowledge until you can, in order to feel okay. At some point, after you acknowledge things, you need to do something. And the more you keep stalling that, 22 years to be exact, the more dissatisfied you start to be. And if I can prevent that from happening now, and if I can talk to anybody and help them in that kind of way, I would love to do so. So yeah. I don't really know what the point of this was. Very different, just kind of wanted to say my stuff. Yeah. Sparkling water. I like that. Makes me feel alive. Yes, it does. And I pulled the 4 of... What are these? Swords?